Welcome to Slasher Sunday. So, Anthony Matson requested this on Patreon, and I was going to do a different film for Slasher Sunday, but I ran out of time, and I had already watched this, and so it's a slasher movie, so here you go, man. You get a Slasher Sunday instead, which is really no different, to be completely honest. It's just I only do these once a week, and so that's what kind of makes them special. But outside of that, I mean, it's the exact same kind of review, so it's not like that's all that different. But anyway, Slasher Sunday is my favorite thing I do on the channel, so here you go. You get to be part of the Slasher Sunday. Bikini Swamp Girl Massacre. Now, I'm starting to think some of my patrons are just trying to punish me on purpose. This movie has a 2.6 on IMDb. A 2.6. Holy shit, man. We are really, really going for broke here. So, all right. Now, what I want to say about this is that this isn't something I'm, I guess, starting to realize, but this is something I've known for a while. Okay. Number one, I guess I just don't like modern day ultra low budget schlock on purpose. And number two, and this is something I've talked about on the channel a lot, what makes the 80s slasher so great, and I was just thinking recently that the 80s slasher, and I know you'll be like, oh, well, duh, but the 80s slasher stopped in the 80s. Like, the 80s slasher didn't have to stop in the 80s. Like, it could have continued to go on. Now, maybe it wasn't making any more money or whatever, but, and I'm not saying there is zero, but as of 89, it pretty much just died in 89. So it really is an 80s slasher for the most part. Like, how many true 80s style slashers are there in the 90s? Now, of course, they've made a resurgence now because all the kids who grew up on them want to make some homage films, whatever. But they really, like, there's almost no 80s slashers in the 90s. And I know, duh, because they're 80s slashers, bro. No, I'm talking about the formula. I'm talking about how they played out. And yes, there's like the Scream and I Know You Did Last Summer, but those are all products of Scream. They're nothing like the 80s slashers. In fact, the whole point of them is to kind of dismantle what the 80s slasher was. But yeah, it's odd to me. I was just thinking about that, how the 80s slasher really did die in the 80s. When the 80s stopped, so did the 80s slasher. I just find that kind of odd. But anyway, but what makes them so great is that they're not bad on purpose. Now, of course, some of them are just great, like for genuinely great. But a lot of them are terrible. But they're fun terrible. And you just can't recreate fun terrible because that was not their intention. They really weren't all that aware of what they were making was going to be perceived the way that it was. Like, they were legit trying to make a good movie, albeit, aping from their predecessors, whatever that may be that week, whether it be Halloween, Friday the 13th, so on and so forth. It's just odd to me. Anyway, so what I'm getting at is that films like this just almost never work for me. Now, where this film could have succeeded, and I feel like the film's biggest strength also is one of my biggest negatives. So what am I talking about? This film has one of the best looking casts I've seen in a slasher movie, especially ultra low budget like this. Like, the girls in this movie, I mean, not every single one of them, there's a couple that I wasn't all that into, but for the most part, and there's probably about 10 chicks in this movie, so like 8 of them are just fucking gorgeous. Now, that is usually pretty rare, especially with ultra low budget movies like this, they usually don't get the best looking women. Of course, this is my preference and my opinion on that. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder and whatnot, but the girls in this movie are fucking gorgeous. That said, there's very little nudity. Yes, there's some, but none from the main cast. Like, there's girls in the beginning that show some, but then there's like the main girls of the movie, the 7 or 8 of these girls that go out on this swamp tour, and you're thinking, oh shit. I was sitting back like, oh my god, are they just gonna bear all throughout this movie, all these gorgeous women? Because if so, I'm about to have a blast. You know. And unfortunately, none. And I was really having a hard time like trying to decide who was my pick for the hottest chick in the film, but I kept kind of going this way and that way, but I think I decided on Claire. She's the one with the short hair. I feel like she wins kind of by default just because that's my kind of style of chick. Like, I like the real short, edgy cuts and stuff. So many of these chicks are out of their mind gorgeous, though. So, but yeah, but the fact that they don't really show nudity from these women, it's kind of like, well, they're great to look at. Don't get me wrong. So that's a plus. But in a movie like this is what I'm saying. If this was a actually good film, if this was well made, and these girls gave good performances, would I need to see them naked? No. Would I want to? Of course. But would I feel like it deemed necessary for the film? No. But in a film like this, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I don't know how this will be taken. I really don't give a shit. But I feel like, I don't exactly know how to word this perfectly, but I feel like the hotter the chick, the less likely it is that she's actually going to show any nudity. Unless there's like a high price tag on it. Like, she's like, I'm too hot to fucking get an A. You're just lucky I'm even in this movie. And then girls who, aren't so attractive, in my opinion, usually are like, where do I point the tits? Let's get them out. Now, of course, this isn't always true on one side or the other, but it does seem like that, especially, as I said, in these ultra low budget movies. So, yes, I've spent like 10 minutes talking about tits and chicks and 80 slashers, and I even said one fucking minute about the movie, but I mean, really, that's a lot of what I have to say about the movie. So I guess I'm spending a little more time on this because I want to give Anthony his money's worth here. And trust me, anybody who's recommending me this movie, Anthony recommended me this movie because of the hot chicks. He recommended me this movie for that, and of course I'm sure some other little things too, but that's what he's watching it for. That's what he's recommending it for. So I'm going to talk about the chicks. My God. Yes, good pick on the women. Fucking A. I would say this is the best looking cast I've ever seen in a low budget slasher. Ever. Unreal chicks. But unfortunately, as I said, I'm not going to repeat myself anymore. All right, the acting in this movie. I mean, this is a trauma movie. So in reality, I mean, what the hell am I exactly supposed to be expecting here? It's trash. I mean, but is it supposed to be good? Are they attempting to be good? But this is different. This isn't like 80s schlock trash acting. This isn't, people who are actually trying to act who can't act. No, these are people who, I mean, I wrote this down. I think this is one of my first. This is a porno without the sex. That's how this fucking film plays out. Everything is horrid. The acting, the editing, the story, the villain, the kills, the lack of nudity. I mean, there's a reason that this is a 2.6. 2.6 or 2.4? I did say 2.6, but it might even be lower. It might be a 2.4. Or did I say 2.4? Whatever it is, it's really fucking low, and it absolutely deserves it. So we have a killer here, Kuwachobi. Yeah, Kuwachobi. Awful. Awful villain. Hilariously bad, but not in a laugh out loud kind of hilarious. Just a genuinely awful villain. The kills are horrid. Like, everything is a tomahawk to the chest or the back, and there's like a little gash wound that looks like a pussy. And that's it. That is every kill in the fucking movie, pretty much. And so the kills are ultra fucking lame. Did I laugh? Sure. There was a few times where I laughed. I'm not completely shitting on the movie. It runs at like an hour and 10 minutes, so it's over very fast. Maybe 5 minutes of that is even credits, so you're probably only talking at like a 65-minute movie. So thank God that this film was cheap. But so this is supposed to be a reenactment. This is supposed to be one of those dramatizations, like on Unsolved Mysteries or something. This is a true story. But okay, I didn't even think about this until right now, but didn't even cross my mind until right now. Holy shit. So at the beginning of this, they play it out like it's a true story and that this is a dramatization of it. But then at the end, it goes to 6 months later, and the sole survivor who is supposed to be telling this story that the dramatization is based on, the actress who's playing that character, not the actual person who is that person, but the actress. So this is the story as it sits, is killed by what it could only be perceived as a dream, or was it real? I don't know, because one of the girls from the movie is still alive, but she's a different character. She's a different named actress, but she recognizes her from a character as a character in this movie. And then Kuwachobi is back, but it's actually, obviously Ted, right? Isn't it? Yeah, Ted actually ends up being Kuwachobi, which I actually thought was kind of a cool twist. But that doesn't matter, because I never noticed. I never noticed throughout the film that it was him. But, whatever. But so she gets killed at the end by Kuwachobi, or Ted Achobi, I don't know. And she recognizes this girl who's actually not this girl. So it's a dream sequence? It's not? It's real? So if it's real, how is this a dramatization of what she said? And how are we seeing? I mean, of course, I'm overthinking an idiotic trauma movie like this. But that just hit me. Like, how does this ending even make sense to what they said in the movie? Who cares? All right, moving on. Chicks are attractive! Exclamation point. You fucking got it. They're all wearing like raver outfits in the beginning, but then they just, I don't know what they're raving at this pool. I don't know. And then they go off and they get in their like swamp girl gear, and then they're out there. Ted takes them out on this swamp tour like in Hatchet or something, and they're in these little canoes, and they're fighting, complaining the entire time. Then they start fighting with Ted, and they're like, that's it, we can't take it, we're gonna go back. And it's funny because what the fuck's her name? I watched this movie a couple days ago. So Mama Bear, something like that. Anyway, is this the leader chick? Mama Bear, is that right? I think that's right, but whatever. She's talking to one of the chicks in the back, and she's like, do you know where we are? And she's like, yeah, like, no, I have no idea the fuck we are. And then she starts yelling at Ted, and she's like, all right, we're turning these around. And he's like, you really think you know how to get back? And she's like, yeah, I could find my way back. I know where the hell I am. And I'm like, I think this is just her being confrontational and trying to prove her point. But I just like, you just said you had no idea where the fuck you were. And she said that with such confidence. So I guess the character is a good actress. Because she really sold me on the fact that she really had no idea what the fuck she was doing, or that she know what she was doing. I don't know. But then he's like, he reads them the riot act. We're going on. Sit the fuck down. Shut up. Whatever. And they're like, oh, okay. Literally 2 seconds later, they're at the dock. Like, he couldn't have just said, like, it's right up ahead. Like, just wait 2 seconds right there. Oh my god, everything in this movie, the editing in this movie. Oh my god. Films like this, they really make me wonder how much a budget could possibly be. I mean, we're talking micro budget stuff here, but I feel like my friends and I could make this movie if I had really hot girlfriends. I used to, but I don't anymore. Uh, but yeah, if I had a bunch of hot chicks, even if there was no chicks, I just wanted to make this with a bunch of dudes. No one would want to watch it. Swamp or Bikini Swamp Guy Massacre, I don't think would sell as well to, my audience anyway. Paul Shunk might watch that one, but anyway. But I feel like my friends and I could go out and film this on our iPhones for free and pretty much recreate every single thing in this film outside of some of the like some of the toys that they have at their disposal. Like they have they have a bunch of like cars and boats and all sorts of stuff like that. But as I said, I think those are just things that they have, their friends had, or some of the producers already owned or something. Like I don't think that they were purchased or anything for the film. Like everything in this movie is something they already had. So if you already had all that stuff, the one big scene is that like monster truck golf cart swamp tour thing. What the fucking hell was that thing? Anyways, it like knocks over this SUV, which was in a movie like this. I was like, oh damn, man, they really, they probably bought that thing, or they probably didn't even buy that thing. They probably, pulled that out of a junkyard that one of their friends knew, and then just knocked the thing over and then just threw it back in the junkyard. That thing definitely didn't run. He just knocked the shit out of that thing. But it baffles me that a movie like this costs any money to make. And I literally mean any money outside of, I guess, buying some of the prosthetics that they put on, but they're just little gouges. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they just used the exact same makeup prosthetic on everybody, because it looks exactly the same every single time. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just rip it off and they're like, all right, hold on, we need to take it over to the other girl over there and put it on her so we can film it. In a film like this, I feel like you could shoot this entire thing in like a day. Like, I don't understand how films like this take any time or money. The script is just dreadful. I mean, they don't even try. They're not even bothering with anything. So this is set on Columbus Day, and the killer is a Native American, which they could have had tons of fun with. Like Kuwachobi could have, been rejecting the white man and rebelling against this holiday and all this. And guess he technically is, but it's not explored at all. And then like the campfire tales and the old man that's supposed to be warning them against the legend of the area. Oh my god, that guy. You could just tell. I mean, whoever the guy was, I don't even think he's probably an actor. He's probably just a friend of the crew, and they were just like, hey, you seem like you're a menacing guy. Like, why don't you come out here and tell these girls some ghost story, essentially? And he's like, the Kuwachobi will come and get you, so you need to stay with me or not. Anyway, so yeah, okay. My line's done. Can I go home now? Like, I'm not kidding. That's the acting in this movie. But as I said, is it an attempt? Like, people like this, the kind of filmmakers that are making these kinds of movies, they want it to be like that. That is on purpose. They're not looking for good performances from anybody. Like, they purposely want them to act like. Now, are these people capable of better performances than they give? Or are the people who were hired actually trying? Now, that would be an interesting thing to explore. Now, of course, that would be kind of hard to ask them, because if they really were trying, then they'd take offense to that. And of course, I'm sure one or two people who worked on the movie will watch this and they'll be pissed off. It's happened every single time I've ever reviewed an ultra low budget movie like this. I always get some crew member or some actor or some director who watches it and is pissed off. It happens. And you know what? I'm going to give you my honest opinion about the movie. I get blasted on the channel all the time. Don't make content if you can't take criticism. That's just the key to this kind of shit. So blast me all you want. One of the guys from Bone Hill Road said I had a little dick because I was attacking his movie. I was like, that's irrefutable evidence. You can't argue with that. I like how when he's showing them around the area and he's like, oh, this is where the shower is. And they're like, oh my God, it's out in the open. It's like, you have a shower. Like, be happy. And then he shows them the toilet. And I wanted to rewind it because I didn't understand. But like, he shows them the toilet and they're like, oh my God, oh my God. And it's like, it's just a normal toilet. I was looking at it, I was like, what am I missing? I guess it doesn't have a seat on it. So that's why he said your butt won't get cold or something. But it looked like it had a seat. It just looked like it was up. Am I crazy on that? I guess I'd have to go back and rewatch it. I'm not going to do that. But like, when he showed it, it's a normal porcelain toilet that you would see in any bathroom. And they're like, here. And they look at it like, oh my God, what is that? It's like, what are you used to? I thought the toilet thing was super bizarre. Claire, played by Abon Sonia. Abon? Yeah, Abon Sonia. So hot. There's my notes. So Claire wins the day. And that is definitely not a fat girl's name in this movie. Fight between Kuwachobi and the hunter dude, whoever that guy is that comes in and tells them the story around the campfire. I don't know if there's an actual campfire in that scene. Doesn't matter. But that's exactly what it is. Is just awful. I mean, as horrid as a fight between these two characters could ever be. Kuwachobi like stabs him and then he stabs him back and Kuwachobi's like, oh, ow, and he like just walks away. Guys, it's on Tubi. So if you get a chance, check out a couple minutes of it. It's as low quality of a film as you could imagine. Like, as I said, take your iPhone, walk outside with your friends, shoot a couple scenes and edit them together on iMovie, and you have the quality of this film 100%. You're not going to have the quality of chicks, and if you do, send them my way. But but this is what's to be expected. I just feel like Troma, I don't know. Filmmaking is just different now, I guess. But when I think back on some of the Troma classics, with Toxic Avenger or something, this is such a downgrade from those kinds of movies. Or Terror Firmer, which is my favorite Troma movie that I've seen. I don't know. Yes, they're schlocky. Yes, they're stupid. And yes, they're trying too hard. But for some reason, they actually work. Those two titles, anyway. And then these later ones, it's just... There's not even an attempt at anything all that clever, original, unique. Like, with a film like this, you can just have fun and go for broke and try literally anything. You don't have to follow any kind of rules. You don't have to do anything that limits you. Like, yes, the budget limits you, but the creative part of it is only limited to what your mind can come up with. So when I listen to the dialogue, when I watch the sequences of how the narrative kind of unfolds, the narrative, like there's an actual plot to this fucking movie, it's just weird to me. Like, why not just... And I guess this is their attempt at having fun. And obviously with Anthony recommending this, he's the target audience, and it landed for him, and that's great. But it's just always odd to me when movies like this exist, because when I watch them, I'm like, where's the attempt at anything unique, anything fun? Like, as I said, the twist is kind of cool, and they got fucking hot-ass babes. Man, like, if you're going to have this many hot babes, like, rewrite the script a couple times. If I fucking wrote a script and that many hot chicks showed up to make the movie, I'd be like, we need a rewrite. I need to check this back over. I'm gonna put these girls in a better movie. The lesbo scene in this movie, yeah, it's hot, but where's the tits? Come on, come on. You're gonna be in a movie like this. If you're gonna agree to be in a movie like this, you should be like, all right, like I know what I'm here for. You know, here's everything. And if you're not, don't. I'm not gonna say you shouldn't be in the movie, but I just don't get it. Like I don't understand. Like it's a bikini babe horror flick, ultra low budget. Like anybody who sees the poster for this film, the title for this film, they're watching this movie as softcore porn essentially. They're watching this movie for a couple fine kills and babes who barrel. Like that's what the audience wants. And yeah, you gave them the hot babes. Okay, I keep harping on this, but I just don't get it. But I mean, what are you gonna do? You have these hot chicks, and they're like, "Hey, I want to be in your movie," and you're like, "Fuck, these girls are hot," and it's like that should be good enough, I guess. And I don't disagree with them. I don't think I could turn any of these girls down in any way. But I don't know. I don't know. And I love how when Kuwachobi comes at the chicks on the dock that are making out, Mother Bear and the other girl, there's like land behind them at the dock. They like got there and they could have ran this way to the land, but they instead jump into the fucking swamp and then just start running and trying to swim through the swamp. Did I miss something there? Like, is that just swampland that way too? Like, there's the dock and there's land. Why don't they run towards the land? I don't. Made no fucking sense to me at all. And then, so the girl gets away. There's this really long sequence of Mother Bear. God, I swear that's her name, but I'm going to be so wrong when I look it up. Doesn't matter. But she's riding this ATV, and there's just shot after shot after shot after shot after shot after shot of her riding this thing, and Kuwachobi like setting up a barbed wire fence and her on an ATV, barbed wire fence, ATV, barbed wire fence, ATV, 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 barbed wire, AT, barb, AT. Oh my god, I thought that fucking scene was never going to end. I was like, oh my god, and I thought she was going to get decapitated, like 13 game of death or something. But it's just like a fence and she just stops. And then she's killed and that's it. And it's just like, and she's like, eat rubber, motherfucker, or something like that. And then he just stabs her. Like she was going to peel out and like burn, and she doesn't even like hit the gas or anything. He just stabs her and she dies and that's that. And I was like, was there going to be more to that scene? And then they just like cut it out? Like, what the fuck is happening here? Anyway. And then so the final chick of the movie, she goes to like Ted's place and she finds his first wife who's dead, and she goes and burns I didn't even talk about the second wife and the whole like he needs a wife and he's like Kowachobi like boobies and all that stuff. I mean, this is real lowbrow humor, which sometimes can work for me, but it just honestly didn't work here. But she sets her on fire, and then Kuwachobi is like, "I die with you," or like, "Yeah, I'll die with you," or something. And then he like pours gas on his head. Oh, I'm getting tired talking about this movie. It's either that or it's 1:30 in the morning. He pours gasoline onto his head, and then lights his head on fire because he wants to die with her. And then you see what I would consider to be the worst effects I've ever seen on film. Like, this made the Langoliers look like an Avengers movie. I couldn't believe what I saw. It was, for some reason, there was like flames shooting across the screen, like Bowser was shooting fucking stuff at Mario or something. And they were just like firing across, and they were like this really weird orangey color. And they like shot across the screen a couple times, like from the outskirts of the frame, like through. And it was like his face was supposed to be on fire, but there was just flames that kind of shot in the middle of the screen across each other. Maybe that was like the only effect that was available on their program they had, and they were like, well, that's just gonna have to do because we can't afford to hire anyone to put the flames actually somewhere near his face. Like, it would be one thing if the ridiculously awful flames that were on the screen were actually just on his face, then I'd be like, okay, those are terrible effects. But these effects not only were horrid, and as I said, one of the, if not the worst I've ever seen in my life, but they also made zero sense. Like, why are they shooting out from the edges of the frame and coming across like a couple different frames do it? Like, they show like two different scenes of it, and it's coming. Is that supposed to be the whole place is on fire? Because it's not, and it's not even sort of like it. It was. I laughed out loud. I was at work watching this because this is the only place. This is why it's taken me so long to get to the patron request, because I can only watch this shit at work. And I just never have any time at work now, which is great for me financially, but it sucks because I want to get these damn things done. And I was at the salon until 11:30 at night yesterday. So I was really there all damn day, and I had to stay. Like, at 11, I threw this movie on to finish it before I left, because I had to stay and do clients, and I had to clean, I had to do all this shit. And then I was like, I still have 30 minutes left in that movie, and I was like, I gotta do this, man. So I threw it on, and at 11 o'clock at night, I'm sitting in my salon finishing this movie. And I was like, can this thing fucking end already? But the chicks kept me engaged. At least that was really all I cared about. If the chicks in this movie weren't hot to me, this would have been absolutely like nails on a chalkboard. So sorry, Anthony, not a film for me, but I had fun talking about it. So there you go. Slasher Sunday. Adios.